Block signals, aspects, and indications. Well, I said I was going to get you a signal sheet too, and I didn't. I'll do it in a minute. All right, what kind of signals are these?
Distance
Approach.
approach.
Oh,
What does this signal tell you right here?
That you're,
continue.
oh crap. What did I do? It's letting you know that you're either coming into or out of signal territory.
Into, not out of.
Okay, into signal territory, and then
And what's this tell you about your next signal?
expect it to be that aspect, or treat it like it's just a regular.
Okay, this signal tells you what about your next signal? Anybody can tell me that answer.
It's gonna be red.
That it should be red. So it says you're approaching a block system, right? And you need to pull down because your signal is probably red. So you'll need to stop for it. All right. What's this one tell you?
Power down to 49 miles an hour.
We don't know what it's going to tell us. This one. We don't know what that signal is going to tell us. But we know what it's not going to tell us.
Not gonna be a red.
It won't be a red. Might be a yellow, flashing yellow, clear, anything like that, but it will not be red. Okay?
No, if you pass that, would you, like, passenger train, would you call out, like, we're passing a distance signal and it's clear, or would you just say, like, we've got a clear, you know,
Call it out to your, you mean your engineer?
yeah,
Yeah, call it out. Distant signal approach.
not just,
Distant signal clear.
I pass.
well,
Yeah, you threw me for a loop there on the pressure.
well, no, cause, like, there's a conductor on board in the back, and they're supposed to,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't, however they do their business, I don't know.
I know
But like for
Marty-
you and the engineer up front, yeah, distant signal approach. All right, so this is a pretty common thing you might see in, depending on if you're in this type of area. Non-signal, but we're coming into a signaled area, right? CTC. They put a distance signal out there. Why? Because we're in non-signal territory. So we don't want to come around the curve and say, oh, by the way, here's a red signal for you, right?
surprise.
Right. So that's why they'll put a distance signal out there. And this is main track. This is not a yard track. You know, this is regular main track. It's just not signaled. Fixed signal outside the block system. What is this? Well, too late. Never mind. Governs the approach. Doesn't tell you, this signal doesn't tell you anything about this. There could be two trains parked in there. This still won't be red. This big thing right here, identified with a D. We already know that's going to tell you to stop. And this tells you it won't be red. Brewski.
It's clear. We'll see.
Very good. Keep up the good work, everybody. He started you off on a high note.
Oh boy, I don't know how I'm gonna get that.
Ross.
Approach limited. And then proceed past the signal and prepare to diverge onto prescribed route.
You guys are getting ready to step into week 3. Tyler, can you help him? Now, I got 16 of these to do. I can't take all day. You help us, what did you say?
I said proceed, prepared to pass next signal. Trains going more than 60, slow down to 60.
All right. Proceed. Prepared to pass the next signal not exceeding 60 mph. Prepared to enter diverging right prescribed speed. 60. All right, Ross, we're going to give you another shot right here.
That's approach. Proceed.
Prepared to pass.
Signal.
Not exceeding
40.
50. All of you guys, the last time we did the signals, what, two days ago? Every one of you got the aspects. The indications is kind of weak. Proceed, prepared to pass the next signal not exceeding 50 mph. Prepared to enter diverging right prescribed speed. All right, Tyler.
Approach medium.
Indication.
Prepared to
Mm.
pass next signal not exceeding 30. That's not it.
You guys are very, very weak, some of you, on these signals. Week 3 coming up. All right, Lawrence, help them out. Indication for approach medium.
Proceed, prepared to pass next signal, not exceeding 50, 30.
40. Prepared to enter diverging routes, prescribed speed. Okay, we've gotten 1 out of 4 so far. Clear. Pretty sad.
Way to make us feel good about
pretty-
it.
I want you to feel bad. We're going on week 3.
Hey, you didn't even ask.
No, dang it. What is it?
I ain't got a clue.
Stop.
Yeah, there we go.
What's the indication?
Proceed, prepared to pass next signal at restricting speed.
Okay. Proceed. Prepared to pass the next signal. Restricted speed. You ready?
No.
Give you an easy one though.
Please tell me to stop. Oh, come on. Just an approach.
Okay.
Proceed and pass signal not exceeding 40 miles an hour.
So you, among other people, have been telling me all day,
You've
if my signal's red here, what's this signal gonna be? Right? Approach. So if I pass that signal, what's the indication?
Proceed, prepared to stop at next
Proceed prepared to stop at the next signal. Trains exceeding
30.
30, immediately reduce that speed. What's it gonna take to get these signals down? Is it gonna take this to actually study those cards with each other, right? instead of on the phone? Yes or no?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just throwing out possibilities. Every time I come in from a break or something, everybody's doing this number here on the phone. I never said anything because I thought you was maybe looking up signals or Googling stop and proceed indication. I don't know what you was doing. But evidently hadn't been signals.
That's pretty good. Where'd you go?
All right, so
She's a red signal right now.
how about I make you a deal? This hazardous materials exam that we took today, right? What if we counted that as like a normal quiz, 30% of your grade, and then Monday, when you guys show up, I will give you a full-blown signal quiz to where you have to write out the aspect and write out the indication word for word. And that will be 70% of week 2 grade. Is that a deal?
Heck no.
No way.
Why?
No more.
We're not ready.
Not really.
But you could get ready.
I'll take it.
You could get ready, couldn't you? You got a whole weekend.
I don't see how that benefits me.
I can tell it's gonna happen, so you better get ready.
So think about it though. I mean, let's think about this. If all I needed was a reason to dig deep into those signals, that would be a pretty good reason, wouldn't it?
No.
Because I want to tell you, I've seen a lot of students come through here. I've learned signals myself. And no one will ever tell me that doing this number right here, back and forth, you won't have them signals down cold that long. I know how to do it. I've seen it done too many times. So you gotta do it. You can't say you're gonna do it. You gotta do it. Okay? So make sure you study them signals this weekend. I'm not gonna waste your time with these because we're not getting very far. Okay?
I like it.
Huh?
I like doing this.
You like doing this because you like studying, right?
Yeah.
But see, it's the same thing with the signal cards. You can do it to your buddy on break. What's that? It's the same thing, right? So I'm not going to waste your time with this. Just make sure you carve out a little time over the weekend to study on these signals.
So is that what we're doing? The hazmat final is not going to be our final?
I got to think on it over the weekend, but I would be prepared. You never know. Really, all I want you to do is learn the signals. You got to know them signals. Remember I told you, if you get into week 5 and you still are rough on your signals, whew, it's going to be tough. All right, no, we won't take a test and it'll be 70% of the grade. But you will be taking a test on it.
Okay.
It won't be 70% of your grade, but you will be taking a test. And you will be writing them out. So you need to get on it. If I can carve out some time to do it. All right, so rule 9.5. Where do you make your stops? Where do you have to make your stops? Rule 9.5. Brusky, why don't you take off with this one?
When movement is being made beyond a block signal requiring the train to be prepared to stop at the next signal, the stop must be made before any part of the train passes the block signal requiring the train to stop.
Okay, that's where you got to stop your train. Where? Before any part of the train gets by this signal. Okay? If this signal requires me to stop, I can't go by it. And I will tell you, most of these signal systems are so precise that if you get 1/16 of an inch by that signal, it's gonna trip the alarms up in the dispatcher's office, okay, if you're in CTC. So he's gonna know you got back.
What would happen if you did it in ABS?
It's the same thing. You're still decertified because you ran a stop signal. It's funny that you asked that. Basically, we have a rule. We're going to talk, it might be the next slide. Let's just see. Right here. So let's talk about that real quick. All right. Ross?
The train overruns any block signal that requires it to stop. The crew must warn other trains at once by radio, stop the train immediately, and report it to the train dispatcher.
So if I get by a signal that I should have stopped at, I got to do these three things. And that's worthy of a star, highlight, and a memorization. Okay? I have to warn other trains at once by radio. Trains in the vicinity of milepost 38, we got by the red signal, right? Stop the train immediately and call the dispatcher. Now, if this is a controlled signal, say it was in CTC, yeah, you can call him, but it won't be 100% necessary because he's going to be calling you, right? Because he's going to know you went by it, all right? ABS, like you said, it's all automatic, right? So I had this crew one time. It's a pretty funny story. So coming one way out of my old terminal, it was CTC all the way to Kansas City. If you go the other way out of my terminal, it was ABS TWC. That was the authority track warrant, but it was still signaled ABS, right? So I got a guy going on that territory toward Pratt, Kansas. He gets a warrant, a track warrant. And this is more about main track authority than it is red signal, right? Let's see, the signal is here, okay? I get a train going this direction. He had a warrant. It said proceed from point A to point B. This is point B on the main track. It had another box marked that said clear the main track at the last named point, right? So when he got to here, he was supposed to take the siding. Okay? That's what his track warrant said. Now this is ABS. So he comes over here. He's going a little faster than he thought he was. He kind of thought he had the train under control. So he goes to stop and he's like, whoa, 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 I'm not stopping. Boom. He stops right there. Right? He's by the switch now. And we're in ABS and it's about 1 a.m. in the morning. I guess him and the conductor look at each other and said, man, we just screwed up. Whew. Main track authority violation. Because he didn't have a warrant to be here on the main line. So he's on the main line without authority, right? So here's what they did to remedy the situation. Instead of call the dispatcher and do what they needed to do, they did this number here. Put the train in reverse. Got right here, threw the switch, lined it in. And they was like, whew, that was close. Got by with that one, right? And they did. Week, 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks. All of a sudden, I get this download and an email. Said, this looks a little strange. You might want to look at this. And it's a download from the locomotive they were on. Because we have what we call automatic downloads. GPS will download your locomotive just randomly sometimes. So they downloaded the locomotive, and the guy in Omaha was kind of perusing through it, and he's like, you know, he sees forward, reverse, he sees air brakes, he sees all that stuff. And if you know how to read them, you can tell exactly what moves were going on. Well, the guy sent it to us, and we start looking at it, and we see all these forward, and then for no reason he stopped, and then, you know, 48 seconds later he's going backwards, and then he stopped, and then forward, and we know where he's at. The type of, that's main line. What are we doing all that for, right? So we figured out what happened, because we called it, we got a download of the signals too. So 6 weeks later, he gets called for a train, and this is about the time we get the download. And he comes in all whistling and happy, got him a train, you know. His name was Troy. I says, Troy, come here. Yeah, what you want, boss? How you doing today? I says, you ready to go to work? Yeah, I'm ready. I'm fired up. Go get her done. I said, well, you're not going to work today or any other day in the near future, because you're going to be pulled out of service because you're decertified. He's like, what? And he truly didn't even remember what went on, you know. He's like, for what? And then we showed him the download of where he did all that. So the moral of the story is this: let your conscience be your guide out there, because it's hard to hide anything on the railroad. Okay. So.
Got a question, Mr. Tim.
Yes, sir.
Say you blew by a red signal, would you get fired completely, or would you be on notice for
You
30
get
days?
decertified. Okay. Now what that means, first of all, it's a federal law, the decertification. So you can't do any duties in driving a locomotive for 30 days. That's across all railroads. That's a FRA law. Now you're still going to get disciplined from the railroad too. All right. That discipline for that offense when I was working was 60 days off without pay. When you come back, and you're not fired permanently, but when you come back, you have to take a rules test. Okay. If you pass that, you have to get a check ride, and then you go back to work, but you have this umbrella hanging over your head for 2 years. So if you do something else wrong, it adds to the discipline you already got. So let's say you got by another signal in that 2 years, you're gone for good. Do you have a?
Yeah, I'm trying to, okay, so let's say you ran past this red signal and got decertified, whatever. Can you, you know, like, let's say you've been engineering for 4 years, could you, like, would your conductor certification be gone too? So you can't.
You can't
mark up
work either.
You can't work up as a conductor either.
Mm-mm. Y'all understand what he just asked?
Yes, sir.
I'm a conductor and I'm with an engineer that goes by. Am I decertified? Absolutely. Now, it didn't used to be that way until they come out with certification for conductors. And that's not been long, a couple of years, right? I got by a red signal one time, long time ago. We was coming into Kansas City. I was a conductor, and we knew exactly what we were doing. We just had the signal figured wrong. We were going this one way into one of the UP yards, and up along the way, we saw the red pot signal. A pot signal is not a tall signal. It's a signal about that tall, right? We call them pot signals. And we saw both of them, because it was a double main line we was on. We saw both of them was red, and we called it out a mile out. I'm like, yeah, it looks like we're all red up there. Randy was his name, Randy Ross. Said, yeah, we're all red, Randy. Yeah, yep, all red. But we get closer to the signal. See, this is where it pays to be familiar with your territories. We get closer to the signal, and we're like, right there at the signal, right? We're like, oh, them crossovers are lined. They're lined for us. That signal's not ours. Right? The crossover was lined for a move to go that way.
Okay.
We saw that crossover line, the switch points. We saw the switch points lined. We're like, oh, that signal's not ours. We're lined this way. That signal was ours. And as soon as we went by it, we were fat, done, and happy. As soon as we went by it, about 40 seconds later, NARS 1, 2, 3, 4, where are you at? When they say that on the radio, you know you done screwed up, right? Dispatcher comes on there, where are you at? And we're like, uh-oh. It was our signal. So, sure enough, they come out there, get us off the train, they secure it, they go pull us out of service, the whole 9 yards. He got fired for 30 days, decertified, right? And at that time, I was at work the next day. Because I signed saying, yep, we're guilty. So I got my discipline level. It was a level 4, right? But I went right back to work the next day. It's just that 2 years, that was hanging over my head. So, but nowadays, yeah, you'll get decertified as a conductor. All right. Worthy of remembering. Procedures for passing a stop indication. Okay, stop indication. Tyler.
A block or interlocking signal without a plate, without a number plate or designated by an aim mode. Absolute signals can be found at the locals. Interlocking means leave siding signals within ABS at certain locations within ABS.
So kind of wrap your mind around this. A lot of people tend to correlate absolute signals because they're a stop. They tend to correlate that only with CTC, right? But we have numerous absolute signals in ABS too, okay? And there's a different procedure for how to go by a red signal in ABS like that as opposed to CTC. That's still some of that stuff you got to make sure you pay attention to during these kinds of classes. Control point, where would that be found? What territory?
CTC.
Only in CTC.
Control.
It's controlled, right, by a train dispatcher. Okay. You can find interlockings anywhere. You can have a signaled interlocker right in the middle of non-signal territory. Okay. Stop indication. So what do we do if we come up to a stop indication in centralized traffic control? How do we handle that? Take
Have a
off.
signal displaying a stop indication. If no conflicting movement is evident, the train will be governed as follows. A crew member must immediately contact the control operator unless the train is within track and its time limits, or entering track and time limits from any point other than either end of track or time limits.
So if I'm in CTC and I encounter a stop indication, unless I know why I'm stopping, I'm supposed to immediately call the train dispatcher. Okay. Yeah, dispatchers, NARS 1, 2, 3, 4. We're stopped here at control point 1. What's the plan, right? Or whatever. He might come back and say, yeah, I got you meeting the train there. He'll be there in a few minutes. Or he could say something like, oh, I forgot to line you up. Hold on just a second. And he lines you up. And then all of a sudden, boom, the signal turns green. Or it could be, I can't get that darn switch to line, that dual control switch. I'm going to have you throw that by hand, right? It could be any number of reasons why you're stopped. So if you don't see that headlight coming at you, or you're pretty comfortable knowing why you're stopping, you need to call him. Okay? Crew member immediately contact the dispatcher unless the train's within tracking time. Who understands what they're saying there? Surely nobody should. So I'm going to explain a little bit about tracking time. All right. You're going to get a whole class on tracking time in week 5. But I'm going to give you a little bit of it now so you can relate to what this is telling you and why you don't have to call them in tracking time. Okay? So, bear with me. We've got several conditions to where we can get issued a piece of land on the railroad track, kind of like for our use, right, from point A to point B. They're called different things depending on the type of authority situation you're working on. So like this right here, this is called, so we got, let's just say CTC, TWC, DTC, and 915. This is 4 different kinds of authority. And it's listed in your Rule 6.3. It's part of that laundry list of 10 authorities. So listen to this. Giving me a piece of land, right, from here to here. And in this land, it's mine. So I can do this number right here. Or I can do this number right here. I can do this. Don't matter. It's mine. Okay? It's my land. Nobody else can come in. Now here's what it's called in CTC. Tracking time. Like that. In TWC, it's called work between. DTC, it's called work in time. 915 is moving against the current of traffic. It's called track permit. All these things, like physically on the ground, you're pretty much doing the same thing. You got a section of land to use. Dispatcher gave it to you. Okay? But because you're in different types of authority, they're called different things. So, let's talk about tracking time. And like I said, you'll get a whole class on this. Let's say this is CTC. Right there. Those are sidings. Single main line. CTC. Let's say I'm right here. Red. Let's say this end has got a red signal. Maybe this has got, there's a clear signal there. Maybe a clear signal here. Maybe that's red. Huh?
They have green in the red.
I know this is, you know, about a 15-mile stretch. So I'm not drawing it to scale. So let's say the dispatcher is going to give me tracking time between control point 1 right here and control point 4 on the main line. Okay? So NARS 1234, you're granted track and time permit number 1234 on the main track between control point 1 and control point 4 until 11 a.m., whatever he says. All right, so now, all this belongs to me, okay? This signal is going to be red. It's an absolute signal, okay? All these signals are going to be red. And remember, they look like this. All these red signals you see. So, I'm on the end of my track and time, right? I'm going to enter it from one end or the other. Okay? This signal will be red because he has to block this off in his computer before he can even give me the time. So that automatically turns the signal red. So how am I going to get by that signal?
You're gonna ask for verbal permission.
Verbal authority, right? Say, train dispatcher, can you authorize us by the signal? NARS 1234, you have authority to pass signal displaying stop indication to enter your track and time or something like that. I repeat it back to him. He says that's correct. Then I can go in. Now, let's say I'm in my track and time now, right? Things change a little bit when you're operating within the limits of your track and time. Okay? And what that means, remember, all this belongs to me. So, if I am in my track and time and I come up to this signal right here, what I am allowed to do is stop. Then I can proceed on my own at restricted speed without talking to anybody. You understand? If I'm within my track and time. Normally, I stop and I don't go anywhere unless he gives me a signal, right? Or he gives me authority to go by it. In track and time, I stop and I can proceed at restricted speed on my own. Don't have to say a word to anybody. Okay? Only in your track and time. Does that make sense? Now that's the reason why you have this blurb up here. Crew member must immediately contact the control operator if you encounter a stop indication, okay, and there's no conflicting movement, unless you are in your track and time limits. Does that make sense now? Okay. Because when I'm in my limits, all I have to do is stop and go on my own. I don't have to talk to him. The bottom one there, entering the track and time limits from any point other than the end. So let's say I'm right here. Right? And this happens to have a signal to get on the main line. Okay. I'm right here and I say I need track and time between here and here, dispatcher. He gives me track and time from control point 1 to control point 4. Everything's done, then I can just go on in. I don't even have to call him about this signal. Why? Because I am entering between my limits. See, I'm right here. I'm entering here. So I'm between the limits. I don't even have to get flagged by this one to get into the limits. Okay? That might be a little confusing, and that's okay. You're going to have a class on it. Yes, sir.
So that signal where your train is getting on, the opposing signal, would that be red?
This?
No, the one above it.
This?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably not, because it's the main line signal.
Okay.
This is a signal on, this is not on the main line. This is on this track.
Right.
Okay, so this could be clear.
But if you're coming onto the track, wouldn't it be red?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you're on.
Well,
you're
if
coming
I'm
onto the
here,
main track,
well, if I'm here And when I do pull onto this track, when my wheels hit this track, yeah, it's gonna turn that red, if that's what you're asking.
That's what I was asking. I'm sure
And I got one better than that. Even before I get on the track, if I throw this switch to get on the track, as soon as I throw the switch, it's gonna throw the signal red, right? So everybody's got that down. All right, so I'm here. I don't know why I'm stopped. I said, dispatcher, all red here at control point 1, what's the plan for us? He says, yeah, I couldn't get that signal for you. I'm going to have to flag you by the signal, right? So remember, how do you get your authority in CTC? By the signal or verbal authority from the train dispatcher if he can't give you the signal, okay? He can't give you the signal, so he has to physically tell you you have authority to pass a signal. There's a certain format on how we do that, and all railroads are the same. And it's going to be something like this. He says, yeah, I'm going to have to flag you by the signal. And then he says, NARS 1, 2, 3, 4. After stopping at control point 1, if that's what it is, you have authority to pass the signal displaying stop indication for a westward move, main to main, or something like that. You have to repeat that back to him the same way he gave it to you. NARS 1, 2, 3, 4 understands that after stopping at control point 1, I have authority to pass the signal displaying stop for a westward move, main to main. He says that is correct, then you can go.
You have to write down the time and give it to you.
Absolutely. Right in your log. Okay, there you go. What do you notice different about this title and the last one? Now we're in ABS, right? So if I go to the trouble to tell you stop signal in CTC and stop signal in ABS, that ought to be a key to you to say he's signifying ABS and CTC, so the procedure's probably different. You understand what I'm saying? We know the procedure for CTC. You stop and you call the dispatcher. What about ABS, Lawrence?
At a signal displaying a stop indication outside interlocking limits, the train will be governed as follows. Main track. On a main track, except where Rule 9.14, movement with the current of traffic is in effect after stopping a train authorized beyond the signal, must comply with one of the following procedures. Proceed at restricted speed if authority beyond the signal is joint with other trains or employees.
We're naming 3 different scenarios here, okay? He just nailed off the first one. If I'm in ABS territory, is ABS an authority, first of all? How do I get my authority in ABS? That's one way. It's probably the most common way. So that's what we'll do. I'm in ABS, I'm looking at clear signals, but that doesn't mean anything as far as me being able to progress down the main line. I gotta have a track warrant. So I'm here. I have a track warrant in my hand that says Xbox 4 work between Bess and Chloe on the main track. Xbox 12 between Bess and Chloe make all movements at restricted speed, limits occupied by men or equipment. So these guys, in this one example now, we're going to do other. This example, these men and equipment, they have a track warrant too. They've got, remember, work between and tracking time? Remember, it's the same thing, except this is in TWC territory instead of CTC.
Would they call that joint authority?
Huh?
Would they call that?
Absolutely. It is joint authority. Okay? So, limits occupied by men or equipment. Anytime you as a train have joint, like he just said, joint authority, a joint track warrant with men or equipment. Everyone makes all their moves at restricted speed. And you, as the train, have to call that guy on the radio and get his permission to come into the limits with it. Okay? Even though you got a warrant, even though the dispatcher says, okay, you're good to go, you still have to call this guy to get his permission to get in the limits. Okay? And that's joint time. If I have joint time with another train, 2 trains in there, and that happens a lot. Okay? Everybody on that warrant, him and me, we both have to make our moves at what speed? Restricted speed. The only difference is I don't have to call that other train to get his permission to come into the limits. Okay? And it's kind of like, and this is just me saying this to correlate it. It's kind of like we're going to protect the smaller guy, right? The little maintenance away guy with his little truck. We're going to protect him, so we're going to make you get his permission to go into the limits to make sure he knows you're coming. You see what I'm saying? That's how I correlate it.
No, you said like we're sharing it with another train.
Mm-hmm.
With the leading train, like train A and we're train B, would train A have to travel at restricted speed as well?
Anybody in those limits.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Even if there's nobody ahead of you.
that's right.
Okay.
Because see, work between,
Is ward.
that means you can go either direction.
Right. Oh, okay. All
You
right.
see what I'm saying?
Makes sense now.
All right, hang with me here. We're gonna get through this a couple more and we'll take a break. So this is one scenario, and remember, we're talking about how do you go by a stop indication in ABS. CTC is simple. You stop and you immediately call the dispatcher. ABS, if I have authority and that authority is joint, I can proceed at restricted speed, right? If my warrant is joint with men or equipment. Now here's another one. Brewski, just read number 2.
Proceed at restricted speed to permit the engine with or without cars to couple to its train or to a standing cut of cars if the track between the engine and the cars is clear.
Another example. ABS, let's say there's a little track right here, and I cut my train off here, and I came up to get 2 or 3 cars out of this track, right? I get them, I get back on the main line, and now I got to get back to my train. But I got a stop indication. How do I go by that? Okay. I don't have to call anybody. All I have to do is go right on by at restricted speed and go to my train. Why do you think they let you do this?
Is it your train throwing the signal?
Because that's obviously why it's red. Your own train's making it red, right? So, plus, back here, you're already protected from this guy if there's one back there. Why? Because you got your whole train ahead of them. So, no harm, no foul. Here's another one. Number 3 there. Ross?
Proceed at restricted speed when a crew member has contacted the train dispatcher and obtained permission to pass the stop indication. However, if the train dispatcher cannot be contacted, move 100 feet past the signal, wait 5 minutes, then proceed at restricted speed.
All right. Now, wrap your mind around this. We're in ABS. Proceed at restricted speed when a crew member has contacted a dispatcher. So I have a track warrant in my hand, right here. It says, Xbox 2, proceed from here to there on the main track. That's my authority, right? So I've got that in my hand, but I'm looking at a red signal, stop signal. Here's what they want you to do. They want you to call the dispatcher and get him to flag you by the signal, verbal permission by the signal, right? If you do that, then you take off at restricted speed, no problem. It's all done. But what if you have that warrant in your hand, you have authority to go. What if you're red and you can't get a hold of the dispatcher? Maybe he's on smoke break. Maybe he got overly stressed and just walked off the job. That's happened a bunch of times on the UP. Okay? So you don't know. You just keep calling. He's not there, right? They're saying, listen, if you can't get a hold of him, we got a procedure for that. You already have authority. He already told you you could go, right? So how are we going to handle that? First of all, we're going to move 100 feet by the signal and stop.
Is that to get his attention? Oh, because it's not centralized.
Think about this.
To throw that signal.
Throw what signal?
It won't be running.
Okay, well, this one back here is already thrown.
The next one.
You're right dead on the money, though. I don't think you know that, though. He's right dead on the money
I know we went over
to
it.
throw the signal. You pull by the signal 100 feet, stop. Why? Because you want to throw this signal for trains coming this way. You see what I'm saying? So this train comes around the curve and he sees a red signal. He knows something's going on. You see what I'm saying? That's why you pull 100 feet by and stop. Wait 5 minutes. Why do you think you ought to wait 5 minutes?
You might take or the electric current to.
See if that train's coming.
Close. Real close. That's the signal for trains coming that way, right? What if, before he went by this signal, what if I had just passed this signal? I would never see this go red in my face, would I? Because I'm already by it. And now, I'm gonna be barreling down on him. You see what I'm saying? That's why you wait 5 minutes, just in case you see something coming toward you, you back out of the way. You see what I'm saying? So, after 5 minutes, if you don't see anything conflicting, then you can take off at restricted speed.
So if you see a train coming towards you, you can throw it in reverse and start
Yeah.
backing up just like that.
Yeah. I'm not saying go down the rail 70 miles an hour backwards.
Well, yeah.
I'm saying back out so he can get to the switch, you know, this train. So does that make sense? Pull by them. If you can't get a hold of the dispatcher, you have a warrant in ABS, go by the signal 100 feet, stop. Why? Trip this signal. The train's coming against you. Wait 5 minutes just in case they were already by this signal. And if at the end of 5 minutes you don't see anything, move at restricted speed. You can take off.
Now, you know you were saying that you get deauthorized for passing reds. And we've already gone over that a green will never turn into a red. But is that completely true? Like, I know we were showing a junction
No.
right before, like
Yeah.
if he came on, that would have been, it would have turned the things red.
That's
But
right.
if he had a green, he already passed that last signal, he would be running right into a red.
Exactly.
Would he still get deauthorized for that?
No.
Or decer-
No. And I never said a green will never turn straight to red. I said they're not designed that way.
Okay.
So in the normal course of your travels, you're not gonna see green, 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 red, right? Unless there's a reason. See what I'm saying? So say I come around the curve, I had a clear signal back here, right? I was way back here. I had a clear signal. I'm gone, right? Come up to this one, all of a sudden it's red. I can't stop with that, right? So I'm gonna get by that signal. They will not decertify you for that.
Okay.
And you're gonna have situations to where sometimes that happens. You know, it's called a signal going red in your face. You still have to stop.
Mhm.
So you stop, consistent with good train handling, and then call the dispatcher. They won't, and you tell them, yeah, dispatcher, this signal out here went red in our face, right? And then he'll tell you, all right, proceed according with the rules. And basically that means you went by a red signal, so how are you gonna proceed? Restricted speed, right? So, yeah.
Okay. Going back to this whole, like, you're sharing the joint authority,
Mm-hmm.
would you have to, what they call radio block with the other train? Like,
No.
No, you wouldn't?
Nope.
That's-
Nope. All right, let's take, 10.